There we go. What's up, my people?
Yo,
Yo, starting now. Drop those tickers. I want to see what you guys want to be added to our watch list, and together we'll go ahead and form a nice plan for this upcoming week. Hope your weekends were well. Talk to me.
hey, sexy girlfriend. Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? Let's go.
Jay Bizzle got a lot of tickles this weekend.
Hey, fucker, don't be telling all that shit on me, man. Don't be telling that lie, even though it's true. Shit. Keep that shit
It's
on the
coming out
DL.
in your enthusiasm, bro. All that
You,
enthusiasm. I know it's tickle, tickle here, tickle, tickle there. Yo,
you ran out them damn little people, bro. That's what it's doing. Shit.
I think there's a strike going on. I'm not sure if it's still going on. If they got
Each and every single one of you go ahead and add something here for the week. If not, then definitely I do have a few in mind. And I mean, it's pretty simple. We have interest rates decision this week, so not going to really overwhelm my watch list at least. So we can see what some of our reports look like this week. Again, it's not many, but there are a couple. I don't have any more shares long term, at least with Ford. Picking up maybe some Nvidia and Tesla shares next time around at any dip would be nice though. With Ford as my usual play. ICE, there we go. MP, what's the watch list looking like? SPX, last 10 minutes. SUUNF.
know it.
Let's go. Alright, fire. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing started. So if you want to go ahead and just drop your ticker there in the general chat, definitely do that now. I'm gonna start with our reports first. I like to at least build a weekly outlook every single week to kind of be on the same page when it comes to any Fed meets or any other reports that we should be cautious for, especially when it comes to those times that we notice that there's certain reversals or heavier trends at that, right? So it's just good to kind of be prepared, especially as a team. GM, Ford. Okay, what's up with Ford? Oh, okay, based off of what we were talking about. All right, so we'll definitely go through that. Let me go ahead and actually, before I look into any reports, check what the earnings are looking like. I did take a brief look at them, but honestly, nothing really caught my eye for this week. I think it was just AutoZone and FedEx, right? We also have General Mills. Oh, wait, is this? Oh, I thought it was Chipotle, but that's Scholastic. But no, I mean just AutoZone and General Mills as well as FedEx would be the only three earnings I'd be looking for this week. And as some of you already know, I'm only going to be trading earnings post the report if I do. Right, and it's always best to look at that if we notice that maybe our more favorite equities or stocks or even indices are kind of just like choppy, kind of like in this consolidative range. Then maybe looking at something else that has more attention wouldn't be such a bad idea, right? So AutoZone, General Mills, and FedEx. We can go ahead and add that there to our calendar for the week. So definitely take note of that. Apple, Amazon, Use Soil, XRP. Okay, but all right, got you guys. So switching over here to Forex Factory, I really like this website for the most part because it has not only our country but all of the other countries worldwide. Given the reports and exactly the times that they're given, as well as the impact, at least amongst us traders and the market in general. Go ahead and highlight that in like a color scheme here, right? So anything, of course, more like in the red is like mild, more like to like look out for. And so Monday, I mean, at least for us, the U.S. markets, I don't really see that we have anything to be cautious for. So I'm just gonna kind of skip over that. Tuesday, same thing, right? Now it's Wednesday. This is what everybody's waiting for, right? It's the interest rate decision, which is the federal funds rate or the FOMC meetings. So I like to say it's both of them. Not only is it going to be just a recap of their decisions in the past couple of months, but it's also going to be the decision of the new interest rate, right? So that's going to be definitely exciting. I don't really have a bias to this. It does say here that they're forecasting for a 5.5 percentage, which the previous is that as well. So it's not really changes their kind of what their forecast is looking like, but I'm not so sure about that. But again, I'm not going to have a bias. I'm just going to wait till it actually reports, and then I'll trade off of that. So being said, anything up until Wednesday, 2 o'clock, very, very light, just like with last week. I do expect us to be just like in a consolidated range, just like last week, just because of the news that we're leading up to, right? So it's just as simple, leading up for Wednesday, going into Thursday, we don't really have much. And then Friday we have flash manufacturing PMI, which to me it's not really important. It's just the time, right? Anything before 10 in the morning, I would really be just careful for. I would like to see what the report actually does to the market itself and to the day overall by waiting till after its report, right? So especially 10 in the morning, I'd like to notice that there's some reversals on the morning or off market open. So for me, it's just best to see what the report and 10 in the morning does overall, and then I'll go ahead and look for some trades on Friday. So for PMI, this is just basically how can it impact us as traders? Why do we care? It's a leading indicator of economic health. Businesses react quickly to market conditions and their purchasing managers. So I mean, it's just overall insight on what maybe the next couple of months can do from the producer side of things, right? And specifically, there's going to be an indicator of regarding economic health and the businesses within, right? So to me, it's not really as important, but it's just the time overall that I'm going to be looking for. So that's going to be Friday. And I already have the calendar here built for us. So I'll go ahead and post that along with some charts tonight so we can get an idea of what to look for, at least, going into tomorrow and the rest of the week with interest rates on Wednesday. Have any of you tried out the links that I've been posting? If not, it's cool. I'm definitely going to try it again tonight. You can go ahead and attach your calendar to ours, essentially, and you can be able to, get notified when we're about to go live for either pre-market scans, live trading, both parts of the day. Some days I do have here that I'm not going trading live, especially, so maybe you want to go ahead and be more informed of that. You can definitely be notified through our calendar, right? And then that's pretty much it. We don't really have much for this week. Again, when it comes to earnings, Tuesday before market opens, we have AutoZone. Before market opens on Wednesday, we have General Mills. And then after a market closes on Wednesday, we have FedEx. So those are the only three earnings that I'm looking for this week. And it would make sense to maybe just trade AutoZone and General Mills on Wednesday, leading up to our interest rate decision on Wednesday itself, right? So if we notice that maybe SPY or SPX is like in this choppy consolidative range, let's take a look at those earnings that just reported their earnings. Their hype, right, can actually be something that we can go against after the fact. And even though our indices are not, maybe doing anything crazy because of their own, focus, we can look at this, right, and we can see maybe there's some decent ranges that we can catch. So that's just my idea on the earnings thing. So let me know what you think on that. Alright, so I'm pretty much done with our weekly outlook. It's very simple. And let's just get into some charts now, shall we? Abu, what's good, bro? Drop some tickers here in our general chat. I'm about to go ahead and build our watch list right now. I'm going to take off the algo. We'll go ahead and back test with this later. Let me see right here. There we go. Alright, cool. So I just want to go ahead and let me know if you guys can actually see my chart before I go ahead and start ranting about last week really quick. Yeah.
Oh shit, I see you, man.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm recording. I want to record every single Sunday. Last Sunday was definitely a success, so I definitely want to continue doing that. Alright, so charts, right? Just a little recap on, let's actually go to SPY here. I'm about to overwhelm you guys with some levels. Bang. Right? So this is all of last week, right? Bum, 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 bum. Monday. So we had our levels down here from post market, right? Friday on the 8th. And I mean, this thing just clearly held up all the way up until Tuesday. Now, it makes sense, right? Last week we had, what was it that we had last week? We had CPI and PPI, right? Wednesday and Thursday, I'm sorry. So it makes a lot of sense why, we did hold range up until then. I mean, even then, we just kind of like stuck up on this boxy-ish range throughout the week for us day traders. Maybe for futures, you definitely had some nice plays overnight or pre-market and such. But it makes a lot of sense, right? Until after the fact, why we were able to finally have this nice bullish and then bearish movement finishing off the week, right? So I really, really like to see that our calls territory was held up many, many times after we did break out from the first time around. And that's something that I want to talk about really, really quick before we go ahead and just look at the new week, right? So we had a banger last week of like 1,500%. I don't know if some of you even got that, right? But if you don't remember, I did alert it if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. Yeah, right here, right? So on the 12th, 1,500% on these puts, right? So 4470 puts. This was on the 12th at 1:30, right before our 143. Okay. So just a quick recap. I've been wanting to talk about this since last week. Now that I have some of your attentions here. So 143. Why did I grab the puts? I mean, yes, I was light. But I mean, you would have noticed. Usually, I would have said, "Hey, this is a lotto, this is a gamble, or whatever." But I mean, look, I literally said I'm going with a high RSI, and it's the first time we break outside the box from a squeeze. I want to see this same type of action going into this week, whether it's the up or the downside. I don't really care. I just need it to start showing us that tomorrow. I want to see the same thing as last week. I want to see the break outside from whatever range it wants to break, up or down, and then I want to see any aggressive sell-offs whenever we squeeze outside of the next boxy range that we can set up for ourselves, right? So here we noticed many times in our calls territory, which is this 447.50s range. If you remember, we were like squealing this last week. We were able to break outside of this range on Monday, and I noticed this off market open, and I was like, dang, if we would have just grabbed those puts off market open, but you know what, it's okay. I'm going to let the rest of the week pan out and see what type of, sentiment we can get going into CPI, right? So it's the same thing that I want to do with going into this week with interest rate decisions, with the FOMC meeting. I want to see that if we can break outside of our call or puts range, however we open up tomorrow, that any first initial squeezes outside of this box, that I am at least going to watch it to test if we can have a repetition of this action of last week, where we just kind of have like these fake outs, if you will, right? And it's why I looked at this 1 o'clock, 140 theory. I saw this break outside of our calls range just as we were in the beginning of the week. I was like, you know what, let me get the aggressive, turnaround of things. And if you really look at it, and we draw a box here, consolidated range, makes a lot of sense why every single time we bounce at this range, we would go and reject up here, and then vice versa until we can actually have a decent type of retest. So it's something I definitely want to go ahead and continue to draw for this week. It's these consolidative ranges and identify aggressive sell-offs. And I say aggressive sell-offs more than the bounces because it is more my sentiment, especially with the headlines and the reports that are coming out. I kind of feel like everything is just like a fake out, and we are, kind of following the QQQ trend that I was talking about. So that's actually what I'm going to pull up next year. I just want to do a little bit of a recap of last week and why I got those puts, and I kind of want to see the same kind of like sentiment, like that up and the downtrend, in that box. Fake drop, you think? I don't know, bro. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up a Q here on the long time frame. we were charting this last week, and I wanted to see something here on the daily. So, I mean, one thing's for sure, right? This range that we've had here for a while now is definitely to be respected. Now, I myself am not going to go ahead and buy more puts or continue with this bearish sentiment if for any reason we start opening up more bullish tomorrow, right? And even then, I mean, to think about what we just said with spot and what we have upcoming on Wednesday, it would make a lot of sense that if we start to bounce, in this range and we can hold some levels, that we really just target it to the top over here, and then, we can actually, believe it or not, start grabbing some testers to ride the bottom of the box, if that's all before Wednesday, right? So what I mean by that is exactly this. I'm going to draw it for us. I want to see something like this, right? And then I want to see something like this. It's crazy, and I'm not doing this on our standpoint, but I want to see it. I want to see this happen this week, right? So maybe if we can do this, trying to be like almost perfect.
And that's keys, right, Jay?
Yeah, this is just like pretty much just kind of trying to follow the overall market sentiment going in for this week, and just kind of like a reflection of what happened last week with CPI. I feel like we'll just kind of have a pump, go up to test that previous resistance here on the daily, and then we'll just kind of like just get in this consolidative range until after Wednesday is when I feel like we'll start breaking out of things. It's really the last meeting that we're all really waiting for. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? If we open up tomorrow and we do something like this, well, we can fill the bottom of that wick over here, right? And we can kind of come back here and actually show a retest where it still is holding under this support from prior, which is a pretty critical level if you would ask me. And I would start writing more of a downtrend. I mean, I'm not going to front on that. But again, this is talking about if it happens before Wednesday or interest rate decision. Now, I mean, for sure, if after Wednesday, we can start actually coming under, or we can actually start going above the range here that I have here on the daily, then of course I'm gonna look for this and behind the long time frames this week. So it's something that I've been kind of telling many of you 1v1 as well, is that in these times where we have these reports, right, and this sentiment of dang, are we gonna break outside of this consolidation, and what is it really gonna do? You literally just have to wait for it, and the best thing to do is just see that the retest actually can occur. And until they really do break outside of your ranges, then there's really not much to do, honestly. And if you do want to trade because you're just like, I mean, even myself, addicted to the charts, and you just want to show up every day and learn and learn and learn, then, the best thing to do is, target, for it to do what it's been doing up until that report kind of comes to an end. So altogether, I mean, it's the second, I feel like, besides CPI and PPI, the biggest report that we all look for and can impact us traders in the market. It's that interest rate decision on Wednesday. So anything up until Wednesday, I do see that we're just going to be very consolidated, very choppy. And then after, I do want to see more of a breakout to the downside. But that really depends upon, to the report itself, right? If we're going to stay the same, if we're going to, bring it up a little bit more, if, what is their new objective rather, if that's what they even have. So, I mean, I don't know what that is. I can't really predict that much, but all I can do is just kind of forecast what are the possibilities on the chart itself and follow that through. I'm going to have to, see the retest actually happen here. So that's Qs. I'm going to leave that here on the daily. And then when it comes to SPY and our intraday levels, let me just go back to that really quick. There's a lot of levels here. Actually, I saw something here on the 4 hour. Not to blind you guys, my bad. So on the 4 hour, we definitely broke outside of this range that we have here. Unlike, something that I noticed on the daily for Qs. So, I mean, you could probably find this on SPX, so I don't blind you guys. guys with my levels. Alright, so yeah, we can definitely see this here on SPX as well. So if you just grab the highs, most common highs and the most common lows, and then you just kind of draw like on an intraday perspective, at least for me, it's best to do this because on the long time frame, you would have to more so pick a day that you feel like it would break out of. I feel like that's more tough than looking for a set time on an intraday perspective. But the breakout pattern still should work the same, just not as accurate in my opinion. But I mean, if we're really just kind of just grabbing the highs and grabbing the lows here, we can think that. And look, I have this here on SPX already. I think I drew this earlier today at the beach or something, but or maybe last week when we dropped. But I want to see the retest back up to this range here, to this like critical support area and critical gap area where we just uptrended from before. And I want to see that it's just a healthy pump turning into more than just that. That it's actually going to reverse to the downside again. And I want to see a nice pull down on the long time frame, right? But if we do see that we jump back into this box range overnight, opening up into tomorrow, then it's crazy, but I would follow that Q's plan of just riding the uptrend up until Tuesday or something, and then Tuesday before market closes, if we're all the way up here, I would just boom try to snipe the downtrend right before that meeting. So I mean that's just the plan, but if we don't jump back inside of this structure over here, I am more bearish from what it looks like. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to go ahead and just fight the momentum that we just created Friday. No, I want to see for sure a retest so I can get into more bearish sentiment. But if that doesn't happen, then I am going to switch my sentiment to the bullish side of things, and I'm actually going to test that kind of like the scalp to the top here to the scalp to the bottom perspective up until Wednesday. So expect for me to say, hey, I'm going light. I'm going to test some cons here at 44.67s, let's just say, to ride it to the up of 44.90s. And I mean, if it starts to work out halfway, then will I average in on the long time frame? But if not, for sure, I'm just going to stick with my usual position size. I'm not going to test anything out. I'm going to ride the downtrend that we already started to form. And that's just that. Let's see, what else do we got here? So SPX, I'll go ahead and post the levels for members tomorrow in the trading floor when we open up. SPY, Qs, everything should be uploaded by 9 o'clock in the morning, okay? Amazon, Roblox, Raytheon, NVIDIA, Ford, Tussie, GM, Ford, Apple, Amazon. Let's do Ford. Let's do Ford and NVIDIA. I like to save NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, and Amazon for Fridays for ODT. But, if after Wednesday we have some type of movement, more to the downside, then, I mean, I'm not really a bearish investor on most of them, but it's pretty cool to maybe, trade them on a Friday, right? So, let's pull that up. And it's also like what I was saying with earnings. I mean, if we notice that our indices or indexes like SPY or SPX, Qs, NASDAQ, whatever your favorite other stocks to trade, if you notice that they're like in that consolidative range and you just feel like maybe the cons are choppy, they're not really giving you that nice momentum you like, just switch over to the equities within, and you could maybe find some decent ranges that are breaking out. You never know, maybe there's some news behind that company that you're just maybe not looking at that day. So it's pretty cool to analyze the different stocks out there. So within the video, right, last time we charted this was around here, and so anything that retested under 488.10s, 488 really, which had a nice retest, just completely came down from then, right? So let's drop some new levels, right? I would want to see, and this is just with anything, that while we're dropping, I want to see the retest to support. I want to see more of a drop, honestly, to previous calls territory. I feel like, we have like this mini Christmas tree effect on the 4-hour time frame, right? I mean, it's weird the weird Christmas tree, but it's like it has double stars, a double star up there. But I mean, it's there, I guess. I would want to see something like this. Very, very weird chart. I would, if anything, say that it's like in this huge consolidative range, and until it really breaks out of it, that it's just gonna trade the top to the bottom, the top to the bottom. But let's follow through with the overall market. Say that it's bearish. Say that Nasdaq is bearish, which Nvidia is within. Then we'll just have to ride with that momentum as well, right? Same thing with Nvidia. Let's see, Tesla. FCAU. What is that, Jay Bizzle? You guys are shooting me some stocks I've never heard of. I can't lie.
It's Fiat, Audi, and Chrysler.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, dude.
Nice. Okay. All right, we'll look into it. Okay, so Tesla. Last time we tried a Tesla, we were pretty bearish on this thing, right? And that panned out. But then even then, I mean, I think it was on my other account, but we were pretty bullish on this going into last week. So I mean, props to some of you that got those calls, Skittles. I know you banked off of some swings there, so definitely, I want to follow through, and I want to say that Tesla's actually still bullish. Now, of course, the rest of the market is not. Then I would be very, very careful with that. But Tesla's his own monster, and I mean, I would think that Tesla's actually afraid of knocking down this huge uptrend that is just, nicely holding up from. Altogether, I would need Tesla to do this. I would need Tesla to fill this wick that it left down here so that it doesn't really play with my emotions if I'm thinking about calls, that it wants to grab it. I need to grab it at some point in time. If it doesn't, then whatever, it doesn't. And then from there, I would look for more of an uptrend. Now, the uptrend that I would look for is to at least target from 270s to, honestly, right below that 280s range. Just in case it goes into like this consolidative range, like we always been, like we have been noticing that if it doesn't break out like we want it to, you don't want to think that your 50%, 100% gains are always going to get hit, which is typically going to be that massive squeeze, right? So maybe to think that at least maybe targeting it to the top of the box, right, where it could consolidate, because you got to be humble and think that it's going to go to previous resistance again. Maybe stop there. Maybe you put that as a target. You take some contracts, and what I like to do, and I like to tell many of you to do, is, or at least consider as well, is you take some of your positions off at that tolerable target because you achieved it, right? You looked for it anyways. And if you do have some more tolerable positions still in your basket, in your account, right, then you could still hold those with a tighter stop loss, or some maybe a little bit more further behind. And you never know, they can exceed higher heights, and you could call it a bonus, right, besides your 20%. And that's when you can achieve your crazy ROIs. So I mean, maybe think about it like that. I don't think I've ever really explained it to you guys like that. Maybe just target it, as a box, always initially, and then if it hits anything past it, I mean, hey, you know what I mean? You set yourself up for it, right? So let's actually do that here. Let's draw a box range for Tesla. I noticed that in this range right here, it just plays around a lot, right? Let's actually do this. Bring it down to this resistance, this support, where just like kind of chops around a lot. Has a lot of like fake outs in that area. Right here, same thing. It just had like this break outside of this range to attempt knocking this down, but it came back up to fill this wick over here, which is a bit unfilled. So let's just say the same thing just happens again with the rest of the markets. That's just what we're expecting overall, right? If you haven't already heard me, I mean, repetitively, I've been saying, that we're just going to like bounce and potentially hit the top of that resistance again, expecting that, interest rate decisions are this Wednesday, right? So who's to say Tesla doesn't just follow through and hits a new resistance and then some? or rather hits this resistance and then some after. So it's just something I'm looking for. I mean, don't get me wrong, if even Tesla can open up to the downside, I mean, I'm not a bearish investor, but I wouldn't really fight the downtrend either, right? Especially for what it's, already done in the past. So just kind of look for, one of two things. Of course, the bounce back to previous resistance, or if it doesn't want to take that dip, to at least see that it retests and is strong under, this momentum range. All right, let's pull it forward. Been like stalling that one for a little bit. No, I'm kidding. So I sold Ford around July, when I was actually testing those SPX. When I was testing those SPX puts and I was just getting messed up on those long-term puts, which looking at it now and looking back at, those puts, I mean, it would have been very nice just to maybe hold off a little bit more on them, like put up maybe a longer stop loss. But I was already down like almost 50% based off of where I had gotten, so I didn't really like that swing. But looking at Ford, I mean, bought the shares earlier in the year. In fact, I bought them last year, like in November, December. And, I finally sold them around ending of July-ish, mid-July around here. So I really, really like what I did. Now I am ready to, start looking at some, more investing soon. But we have to break outside of this box. And I was looking at this myself earlier. I was talking to somebody about this investment that I had made, and when was I looking to get back into it again? And honestly, I'm not really ready for it because of this range that we're in. Honestly, I mean, every single time we come here, we bounce, and every time we bounce, we either reject or we do some crazy stuff to the upside. So, two things here. I'm gonna go ahead and draw the Christmas tree that we already created, and I'm gonna look out for it again because I mean, this pattern that this thing tends to have is very repetitive, if you haven't already noticed it here with me. So I want to see something like this. It's already creating it. It's crazy. I don't know. I would want to say to previous resistance. And then if it doesn't want to break that, then whatever, let it go. But honestly, this is what I would want to see for Ford. If not, then I would need it to break under here. And I wouldn't even consider my long investment anymore for Ford. So, two things. The up and the downside, and then this is the second thing that I wanted to draw, is our calls and puts territory. So, if we can hold under this level here, I would say that that's puts. And if we can hold above, it would be ideal to wait for the box to break above, but honestly, if you want to degen just a little bit and you see that this support is actually being held, maybe wait for this resistance to be held, hit the box for maybe your first targets, and then, I mean, if you really want to hold a runner, you could see a break outside the box like before. If you guys notice here with me, right? This thing, I mean, it retested, right? Look at this. I saw it by like the side of my eye, but like we came outside of calls territory from before, and I just put this calls territory if you were looking. But let's just say we already saw this from before, which I didn't. But you broke outside the box, you waited for the retest, it held above this level, you banged on it, and it broke outside of this box, right? Well, let's just say the same thing happens again this time around. It breaks outside of calls territory right here, hits maybe a little bit of our box, but holds this range, and then we bang on it, and then it can maybe just do another Christmas tree effect. So, I mean, it's just, a pattern that I do want to see happen again just because of how repetitive she is. I mean, look at this. So,
damn, G.
So let's just see.
Look at that.
And if these
big fucking swing up and down.
Yeah, bro. So I mean, if these swings don't, I mean, I'm sorry, if those calls are to not hit, you want to see at least the uptrend continue to pan out, and then see what happens here at the top of our box. Then you honestly could ride a nice downtrend like what's clearly happening in the past here. So whichever way it goes, you just gotta see the levels break out first. Live and learn, right?
We're learning.
Yeah. Now, I mean, looking at XRP, I haven't charted this in a while, but it looks very good for the stuff that we have charted in the past. So, I mean, one thing that I would want to grab here is, I mean, there's just so many different tools that we can put to use here. It's just depending on the time frame that we use. So, I mean, I really like the range that we're in. Actually, I don't. I mean, we're very consolidated right now, but if we can break under this range right here of 48.60s, I would look for more shorts to 47.60s, and then 47.60s down to 44 cents, which is a huge drop. And the reason why is because, I mean, looking at the daily, I would already know that we're just like, we're barely retesting, but we're retesting after this drop, and we've done some nice retests after the fact for us to keep going. So what do I mean by this is something that we drew already from up here. I'm going to continue to draw down here. Boom, 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 boom. If we wanted to Christmas tree, by now I feel like we would have already been up here, not the downside breaking momentum. But I need to see more of this kind of happen, and I mean, if it does, it looks pretty clean. Yeah, and that's 38 cents. That's almost 10 cents from where we're at right now. 11 cents. I can definitely see that happening. I mean, I'm not so bearish on it. I'm more bullish on XRP. So for that fact, I would need it to hit 52 cents, 51 cents for me to even look at longs again, like this uptrend that we had over here. So I mean, but that's just me. Definitely, we could say that support is being held, right? So that's why I have the box here. I mean, for any reason we can just hold above 50 cents, this 51 cent range, we can have another squeeze again for sure, and I wouldn't want to fight that. But for as long as we can hold under 48.80s, like I'm describing to you guys right here, then I'm going to look for, you know, shorts eventually. Okay. I mean, that's what I have for Stock Talk. Interest rate week, pretty bearish overall as usual. After the fact is what I would want to see. I would want to see a continuation of that downtrend. But I mean, honestly, from what we're seeing on the charts, I wouldn't doubt that we see a repetition of last week, where it's a lot of consolidation, staying inside of this box, you know, leading up to this interest rate decision on Wednesday, right? So again, I mean, that's the sentiment till then, and then after, I am more bearish on everything, just because that's just my daily, you know, and weekly sentiment on these charts, right? Overall, that's what I would have liked to see. All right, my people. Any questions? Definitely now would be the best time. I'm going to go ahead and fix up.
Hey, how come your file right there says little people? Jeez, Jay. You keep that stuff private.